Hello and welcome to this week's Angel Inspiration. I'm Rachel Scoltock, and this week I'm going to fly a little bit differently because I love using the cards, and I may well pull a card during this session. But my thoughts about it are that more recently, especially, is that cards are a trigger. They're like I always call them a can opener, for want of a better metaphor, because they help us to unlock energy. So they're like a trigger for information, but they don't give you the information. And so whenever I teach card reading or getting messages from your angels in any of my workshops, I always remind people that there's a lot more going on than just a picture and a card and some words. And sometimes it can be really misleading. And that's one of the subjects the angels wanted me to talk about this week, because my inspiration, recently has been about, in my own journey and following other people's journey as well. And some of the people that have inspired me over the years, like the lovely Doreen Virtue, who was one of my first teachers that helped me to understand what was going on in my life when I started opening up spiritually, intuitively, having psychic visions, hearing the voices of the angels. And I knew instinctively that I wasn't going mad, because I was still functioning in my life. I wasn't depressed. There was nothing terrible going on. And it was all very positive, but I just did not know what it was. And so around that time, Doreen Virtue's books and Doreen Virtue herself coming to Australia was one of the people that helped me. Now, recently, the lovely Doreen, and this comes completely from love, because she's one of the people that was a guide on my journey. And what they say is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And the teacher isn't really me or Doreen Virtue or Dr. Wayne Dyer. The teacher is really divine spirit, higher self, soul, whatever your name for that infinite intelligence is, in the form coming through of another person. And so I know a lot of spiritual people, a lot of people that are into angels, a lot of people that use the angel cards have recently been a little bit upset and in a bit of a crisis, because Doreen Virtue has sort of stepped away from the angel readings and cards and things like that. She's even having her name taken off some of them, because she's come to a place where she believes in Christianity and those teachings, and that has been a transition on her journey. And so for me, at first, when I read and learned and watched her videos and things like that, I was like, oh, wow, what's going on here? But it's come to me more recently that it's important to remember that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so she's moving on to do other teachings now, and those teachings may or may not resonate with her past and present students. But they're going to resonate for somebody. And that's the path that soul spirit, her life has taken her, her decisions have taken her. And so in that, I've come to a wonderful conclusion as well, is that my life is changing too. And it's been changing quite a lot in the last year. And it's almost like I can feel things bubbling on the inside that are things I want to let go of, things that I really want to change, but I don't know what they're going to turn into yet. And lots of ideas coming to the surface that have breaking away from what I've been doing for the last 15 years. Not completely breaking away, because it's my favorite thing to do is to inspire, uplift, teach, and to be a channel of that divine energy. And I feel that divine intelligence calling me in a few different directions, so that I can reach you and anyone who was interested in my work in a new way, because it's all about helping and healing. So whilst I'm going to continue I'm still doing readings online and all of that, and the cards will be a part of that, I'm just using this video as a representation of a shift of focus, because I know through the emails and letters and phone calls that I get from you, from my followers, from my students and my clients, is that you're feeling a change too. You're feeling a change in your life. You might be reinventing yourself. You might be suddenly having a realization that what the path you were on isn't quite where you want it to be, or where you want it to be. Or it might be something is emerging that's completely different. And the key to all of that, the key to all of this, because the details are just fluff. They're just the decorations on the Christmas tree. You know, the details and how we do things are not as important as why and what our soul wants. So, you know, the truth of all of this is that no matter what is going on, whether it's a change in relationship, a change of job, a career, is surrender. We spend so much time and energy, us humans, thinking and worrying, and how is this going to work out? And what is, you know, how am I going to make enough money? How am I going to transition from this to this? What's on the other side? What happens if? And we go through all of these scenarios and we work ourselves into an exhausted lather. And that can feel very low and heavy and dark. And when we're in low, heavy and dark, we're demagnetized. Our energy field is no longer magnetic to the things that bring us joy. It's magnetic to the things that bring us unhappiness and misery and fear. So the trick is to start lifting your vibration by surrendering whatever you're worried about, what you want next. Even if you have a big I don't know question mark around it, is that you surrender it to divine spirit, to your angels, to whatever divine being you feel close to, you feel connected to. Because in my knowing, the divine appears to us in many, many, many different ways. And if it makes your heart sing, if it brings you a sense of peace, if you feel your energy expanding and clearing and you feel a sense of love, universal love, that's a sign that the divine grace is coming to you. If you feel a sense of fear, constriction, terror, guilt, or wrongness about anything, even if it's claiming to be divine, then it isn't divine for you. That's the truth as far as I know it. That, for me, cuts through all of the confusion, because divine love cannot be a disguise of any other form except for love. And it's not romantic love. It's not admiration and on a pedestal adoration for a fan type love, or needing a leader, or needing a lover, or needing a best friend kind of love. It's a different love. It's more expansive. It makes you feel expanded, capable, inspired. Your self-esteem is intact. You know, there's a difference between. So if someone comes to you selling their package of whatever that might be, of, I'm going to help you change your life, or this is going to save you, or this is going to help you in some way, and it comes in the form of constriction, guilt, terror, judgment, separation, all of this, rules, all of those things are, it's how it makes you feel. If it makes you feel free and peaceful and at one with yourself and others, then that's divine love. If it doesn't make you feel like that, even if it's in a package that looks pretty, it still isn't divine love. And, for me, angels brought divine love into my life in a way that I hadn't quite experienced it before. Earlier than that, before my first angel intervention, which was totally I didn't ask for it, I wasn't looking for it, all I was doing was driving my car between Tamworth and the coast and trying to sort out a few things in my life when this incident occurred. But before that happened to me, divine love started to seep into my life when I was really young, around 13, when I read my first self-healing, self-development book, which was Norman Vincent Peale, You Can Heal Your... it was something to do with the power of positive thinking. Then Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. Those that started to seep into my life. And whenever I read a book like that, or I heard a tape cassette of them talking, I would feel expanded. I'd feel powerful again, like I could do anything with my life. I'd feel inspired. I'd feel like I want to help others and teach others this information. And whenever I've heard things that have not come from divine love, I felt shrunken and guilty and bad and negative and not good about myself and, I'm not good enough and all that kind of stuff. So that's how you know. And if you apply that to pretty much everything in your life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's a connection with someone, or a video you're watching, or anything at all, a newspaper you're reading, if it's not bringing that sense of peace to you, then it's not for you. You know, it might be a lesson that you have to learn. God knows I've learned enough of those lessons. Enough. But, and I know you have, but also we need to recognize the difference between fear and peace, constriction and expansion. Because when your energy is working and it's energized and inspired, it starts to magnetize everything that you want. So when you start using your affirmations, you know, I am loved, I'm good enough exactly as I am, I love and approve of myself, everything is in divine and right order, I prosper wherever I turn. Those affirmations start to work so quickly because your energy is working. It's expanded, it's magnetic, it's peaceful. There's a clear connection between you and the universal field. Your field, the universal field, start to work together to bring about that truth. You have to decide what it is that you want to believe in and what is the truth for you. Excuse me. I'm on my rant. So the other thing the angels wanted me to talk about this week was self-esteem. And self-esteem is really important to your energy, to your sense of peace and well-being, and your sense even of success. And your self-esteem can be helped with things like your affirmations and making sure that you're surrounded by things that bring you a feeling of peace, and making sure that you're connected to channels of divine love in some shape or form in your life. But also, the keeper of your self-esteem is you. It's you. And your self-esteem isn't necessarily about what you look like compared to other people. It's not about what car you drive or how much money you earn. Although, you know, if we're doing things that we like and we feel supported in life, then we do feel better about ourselves. But if we hang our self-esteem identity on those things, then if anything changes, and things frequently do change that are outside of our control, the sense of self drops away. And if your sense of self drops away, then it's demagnetized. You're at the bottom of the pit. You've got to crawl your way out. And that's, you know, all that heaviness, your magnetism becomes magnetic to the negative, to the things that fit those beliefs about yourself. And so you have to, on one level with your self-esteem, is choose to believe what makes you feel good. Because this universal field, the energy that we live in, the world that we live in, is directly reflective of our beliefs. And so what we choose to believe in becomes the truth for ourselves. Now, that doesn't fit well for people who you know, are really connected to certain beliefs, like, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, life is really hard for me, I'm not good enough. You look at the world and go, well, the evidence is, but the fact is if you've always believed that, and your parents believed that, and the people around you believed that, then that became your field, and then that starts to prove itself to you. Whereas you've got to start to change that belief, and then that will prove itself to you. Acceptance is another step that the angels are bringing to my mind at the moment, and it's about what you accept. So if in your life you've got a confusion or a dissonance or a space between what you really believe is good for you and will make you happy and is a great thing for you, what inspires you, and what you're accepting, if there's a big gap between those things, then it's your self-esteem that is the problem, because you're accepting less than you believe, and you're accepting less than your worth. You're accepting something that doesn't fit for you, and you keep on accepting it, hoping it will get better. And because it doesn't, you attach your own sense of self to it. You start to think, right, is this not happening because I'm not good enough? We tend to take everything personally. And I think that's, after years and years of working with people and trying to help people change their thoughts, I've come to the conclusion that it's a very human, physically human thing to do, is to attach our sense of meaning and sense of self and our belief to how people act, how people react, what our outside, not even people, what our outside circumstances are. And when you think about that, it's crazy because we can't control what other people are doing and what other people are thinking and what other people, I think this whole spiritual thing about you attracted it, it's your fault, you magnetized this to you, is partly true and partly not. Because if we think we attract everything to ourselves, then we spend so much time in negativity, in this pit of, oh my God, what's going on? What have I done? I must be so unworthy. I must be so undeserving. How can I change? Instead of going, okay, I don't like this. I need to take action. I need to change it. I need to do something different. Maybe I've got to walk away. Instead of analysing, why is this happening and what have I done wrong and what have I got to change inside me? Maybe we just got to go, no, hang on, that's not. Because I read a lovely metaphor the other day. It was like if you were sitting in a restaurant and a waiter brings you the sandwich that you ordered and you look at your sandwich and you realise, okay, it's not the sandwich I ordered. If you've got great self-esteem, you say, no, sorry, that's not the right one. Please, can I have what I ordered? If you haven't got great self-esteem, you just eat it. And you feel bad about yourself and you feel bad about the waiter and you feel negative or you feel resentful or you just go, oh, well. But the thing is, if you keep doing that, the universe will just keep sending you the wrong order because you're not standing up for yourself. But also, if you start to take it personally, that you're not getting what you ordered, whether it's a sandwich or a relationship or the money or the house or the clothing or whatever it is, if you just keep accepting that, you start to lose faith in yourself and faith in the universe. And that starts to bring you down. You start to chip away at your own self-esteem. You start to demagnetize yourself even more and start to believe that the universe is this kind of karmic reward and punishment field instead of just being a magnetic field that you get to experiment with. I don't think any of us were born with, or maybe we were born with them, but I think we were taught, we were untrained from it. I don't think any of us are absolutely 100% skilled in this. So that we're going to sometimes get the wrong sandwich. We're going to sometimes get somebody who treats us badly in our life. We're going to sometimes put up with things that we don't really want. But then we have to remember, hang on a minute, this is me. I have to take responsibility for my own experience. I have to take responsibility for my own thoughts, the way I'm thinking about things, the way I'm treating myself, the way what I'm accepting in my life. And I have to raise my own standards and I have to change my own thoughts and I have to change my own behavior so that I can stop blaming and making excuses and just accepting it and change things around. So really strong messages this week, for which I really didn't need any cards for you. We are going through, I think all of us are going through massive shifts. And some of us are kind of, on the choppy water. And some of us are sort of maybe a little bit above that and starting to come out of the choppy water. But that we can always use this information, right? Doesn't matter what's going on in our life. We can use this information. We can look at it and say, how much faith do I have that if I let go of what I don't really want, that what I do really want is going to come? How much faith do I have that my thoughts are actually having something to do with what's coming to me and what isn't coming to me? And how I feel inside, because that's the important thing. The universe isn't listening to your words necessarily. It's listening to your feelings. And so if you're believing things that make you feel heavy and depressed and sad, upset, anxious, frightened, angry, you're just going to keep magnetizing that feeling back to you, and it's unhealthy. You've got to chop the cords to those things. You've got to start cleaning things up and slowing down and writing out a list of things that you do want to believe that make you feel good and expansive and loved and whole, and move away from those things that make you feel constricted and negative. And we don't have to judge them. We don't have to say those are awful and I'm going to fight against them. What we can, unless they're something worth fighting against, but what we really have to do is take care of our souls, take care of our souls. You know, this whole being that we call our spiritual and our physical is a soul. And the more we care for that soul, the more that we protect that soul with great boundaries and energy healing and energy work and you know, putting ourselves in our bubble and the food we put in our body and the people we speak to and connect to, the more wonderful life will become, the more alive we will be, the more life force energy will come into that soul, the more creative, inspirational ideas and fantastic opportunities will come, the more that you care for this soul. And, you know, the angels are there. They're trying to help us all the time. They're trying to help us all the time. They are just one channel of that divine light, that divine love. And you can lean on them. You can surrender these issues to them so that you're no longer carrying them in here. You can let it go and give it to the light. Ask it to be replaced with divine love. From my heart to yours, angel blessings. Thank you for listening. I'm just about to put up for sale the retreat to Uluru. It's all about angels. It's about connecting to your spirit. It's about firing up your soul. It's about self-care for the soul. It's about getting your life force back. So that will be up on my website tomorrow. And if you want to talk to me about it, just send me an email. Lots of love to you. Have a great week.